Uh-oh.
Like I had female stalkers before, but it's usually after I never had a female stalker that I didn't and this is kind of new for me, so.
Put yourself in Cameron Giles' shoes. Clarissa Shields reaches out to him to vent about a situation that he is not otherwise involved in. She reaches out to him.
He corrects her.
The way anyone would in this situation. The conversation that we've been having in other videos.
About the most watched women's boxing match, Taylor versus Serrano.
I don't even know why she reached out to him specifically, because what did she think he would do with that information besides broadcast it?
You know him.
Outwardly, that he's not exactly a shoulder to lean on. He's not a stand-up guy per se.
Sympathetic.
Your interpersonal relationship, whatever it is not so far along or so developed that you should trust him with your inner thoughts. We wouldn't be here now, having had this conversation for this amount of days, if Cameron hadn't exposed Clarissa to the world, that behind the scenes, she was angry.
Venting.
Do you not have a personal support system? People that you're actually close to confide in with your inner thoughts?
We can see you're not close to him, or he's not close to you. If he were, he would have kept what you said
under wraps. He would have kept it to himself, not even saying that exposing Clarissa was wrong.
The exchange was actually pretty civil. All he did was correct her.
Because she needed to be corrected, as does her cult. They think that all of this is subject to discussion, subject to debate, mostly because all they do is argue in bad faith.
It's the only way they know how.
What was the most watched women's boxing match in the history of women's boxing? You can Google that yourself and you won't be surprised at what you find. As this was never really a debate. Clarissa and her fans, they just pretend it was.
It is.
When it isn't. So that Clarissa can then fly off the handle, lash out at Amanda Serrano, lash out at Cameron Giles, all for something that she started? I've no doubts that she's probably messaged him quite a bit since then.
That's why he's calling her a stalker.
You're attempting to operate outside of your bubble, outside of the world of boxing where there is a certain etiquette. Conversations and what is said in them are all within certain parameters, but outside of that boxing bubble, that sphere, there is no etiquette.
Want to get your feelings hurt?
Tandem with his rap career, one of the things Cameron Giles is known for is his ability to mock people, to make fun of them.
In a word.
He's a great storyteller, Cameron Giles, which lends itself to his music, but it also lends itself to his wit.
He's funny.
And don't expect that outside of that boxing sphere you normally reside in, you're gonna come at a grown man the way you're coming at him, and he don't make fun of you for it.
Stalker.
The worst part is, I don't even think Cameron wants to have a go at her. I don't think he wants to humiliate her.
But he can.
In a boxing world, you can tell people about your 2 Olympic gold medals and all the alphabet titles you won in the paid ranks and expect to get a level of respect. But outside of that
sphere, that world,
there is no etiquette. There is no code of conduct. It's a free-for-all. As sensitive as she is, inside of this boxing sphere, just imagine how much worse things can get outside of it, where people don't care about your 2 gold medals or what alphabet titles you won or who you fought or whatever you think is important.
She's had it out with everybody.
Men, women, she had a go at Keith Thurman, had another go at Gervonta Davis, Alicia Baumgartner,
Jake Paul, Amanda Serrano,
Katie Taylor to a lesser extent, and now Cameron Giles?
Yeesh.
She's got a biopic coming out, The Fire Inside, detailing her meteoric rise through the amateur ranks to her 2 Olympic gold medals. I don't think it helps the marketing for that film.
You make a movie like that, you want to present the characters in it, in this instance Clarissa, as somebody you can get behind, somebody you can support, somebody you can root for. I feel like she's making that, and has been making that, very difficult to do.
It's been painfully obvious for years now, in spite of a vocal minority online that likes to argue in her defense whenever she has one of these public blowouts.
Not enough of you.
You've often heard it said by now that she is her own worst enemy. She just can't get out of her own way, and we all know you draw more flies with honey. So if what's bothering you is that you don't feel as appreciated as you'd like, as you feel you should be, maybe you shouldn't be so overbearing.
Well, she wants to stay true to herself.
Whatever that means. And she's free to do so. It's a free country. People are free to not like her for it. There's a thin line between staying true to yourself, being who you are, not putting on for an audience, but expecting that same audience to accept it.
To love you for it.
No medal that you win in the Olympics and no belt that you win in the paid ranks or number of belts in the paid ranks entitles you to an audience, to adulation.
Those are not entitlements.
In men's lightweight news, Eddie Earnest said they've now made a massive offer for Shakur Stevenson versus Floyd Schofield to happen February 22nd in Saudi Arabia, and confirmed that talks are ongoing for Boots Ennis versus Virgil Ortiz to take place on that card.
That card is a massive undertaking. I mean, if they get all of these fights done...
We'll see. This is intended to be one among them. Floyd Schofield versus Shakur Stevenson. Shakur, the reigning WBC lightweight champion and a 3-division champion overall, widely regarded as one of the best fighters in the sport, at least one of the most skilled, simultaneously one of the most boring.
Floyd's gonna be the aggressor. He'll have to be. He'll be the one that pushes the pace if this fight happens.
We'll see if it does. Shakur Stevenson stated, "Yeah, mofo, let's see what you're on now. You done talked your way into belt to ass. This will be a great fight for the fans. Thank you for stepping up and not ducking. Now let's do what we do best. Let's fight. This is me, not my dad."
He had to clarify because young Floyd Schofield's father often handles his social media.
A Twitter user that goes by the name Texas Runs Boxing said Kid Austin better accept that offer, to which Floyd replied, "We already told them what we wanted. It's a done deal."
Would be very bad optics if they went as far as talking their way to the fight just to be the ones that balk, just to be the ones that walk away.
Shakur Stevenson said, "You can't fight for him either, old man. I'm gonna show you why you don't send children on a grown man's mission."
Crawford.
Shakur's doing the Rambo thing again. You would think he's a pressure guy or an action guy, the way he talks outside of the ring, when inside of the ring, he's so cautious and so careful and so risk-averse.
Crawford.
Shakur wins the fight. If they make it, and it happens, Shakur wins the fight, not because he's gonna go for the gusto, but because he's too hard to hit, too mobile, too agile for Floyd Schofield.
Defensive.
That's Shakur's standout quality. He knows how to protect himself inside the squared circle. And Floyd Schofield will find him a much harder target, a much trickier target than anyone that he's fought so far. I don't think Floyd is ready for this.
But he talked himself into it, him and his daddy.
He's another one of these young boxers with a talkative boxing dad that's writing checks his ass can't cash. Stylistic breakdown. By now, we all know Shakur Stevenson is a textbook pure boxer. If he's anything, he's that. Economic, mobile, and defensively minded. Whereas Floyd Schofield, he's a boxer puncher.
Are you sure?
Yeah, he can box and punch. Box when he needs to, punch when he needs to. He's not the kind of boxer puncher that, say, Gervonta Davis is or Teofimo is, to where he relies heavily on counters.
Regis Prograis.
Floyd Schofield is a little different, and he's a more aggressive kind of boxer puncher that strings together combinations and gives chase, wants to get at his opponent.
Shows more of a work rate and more mean streak than a Teofimo.
More of a work rate than a Gervonta Davis. Gervonta, Teofimo, they're boxer punchers too, but they're more reserved. They're the more reserved kind, whereas Floyd,
He's aggressive.
he's gonna lose this fight. Trying to find Shakur Stevenson in that ring will prove difficult to do. If they get this over the line, and they're serious, and it actually happens, then Floyd Schofield loses. But there's no shame in losing.
He's young enough that losing to Shakur ain't the end of the world.
Hardly. Taking a loss at this young age will not ruin him or his career. But if this fight happens, he loses.
Does it happen?
I'm not optimistic. You guys know me, I'm an old cynic. I'm cynical about everything, skeptical, especially when it involves two young American fighters. Those are the most difficult guys to deal with.
To get in the ring.
But Auntie Sco is gonna let young Floyd go in there and risk his unbeaten record on a whim, just like this, just because the Williams pay-to-fight fell apart. It's a little hard to believe.
I have to see it.
Show me.
To believe it.
With all the fights that are already set to go down on that same show, it won't be the end of the world if this one doesn't happen. You've got Sugar Nunez fighting Anthony Kakache.
Ortiz versus Ennis, potentially. Better be versus B-Vol, too. Potentially.
Dubois versus Parker, potentially. This card will be great with or without Stevenson versus Schofield, so we'll see if they get it done.
If they do, Floyd loses.
You don't give him any kind of odds? Any kind of a chance against Shakur?
Okay. Floyd Schofield's best bet
His chance
is to lean into his aggression, lean into his aggressive side, mimic the pressure fighter, as it's pressure fighting that gets the pure boxers like Shakur Stevenson. That's cutting off the ring, moving with Shakur parallel to him, and closing off his exits. That's throwing punches in bunches, letting go of combinations. That's taking chances.
If that sounds too straightforward to you, well, that's what works for pressure fighters. Against pure boxers, the straightforward approach.
Some would call it generic or basic.
No bells and whistles, but you don't stand much chance of winning a points decision by playing who's the shinier spoon.
Not against the pure boxer. You let this turn into a boxing match, a chess match, you're definitely gonna lose.
Hesitate? Spend too much time waiting for an opportunity, trying to pick the right punch at the right time? That opportunity won't come.
Pure boxer's too defensively minded. He's not gonna stand in one spot.
He's not going to open up but so much, so you won't get many opportunities to catch him in between. You have to try to mow him down, force him to fight.
Crawford.
It's easier said than done. It sounds simple enough, but that kind of fight comes from the inside. The fighter's temperance, the fighter's propensity.
Intensity.
Temperance. All of that comes from within to consistently put the pressure on, keep the pressure on, and cause the guy to wilt. All of that comes from within. There are wrinkles and bells and whistles that you can add to do so more effectively, but doing it.
It's almost like the base style that a fighter prefers to use has everything to do with an internal rhythm, because everybody can throw a jab, but the intention,
That's what determines how they throw it, why they throw it, when they throw it.
how often. Same with a straight right down the pipe. Same with a right cross, or a left cross if you're talking about a southpaw. Same with the number of combinations, the number of punches you string together.
How often you do it within a round, and how often do you do it in a fight? I feel like that all comes from within. That bit of it is an internal rhythm. Can Floyd switch that on?
He better if he wants to beat Shakur.
Cause you ain't gonna outbox him. That's for goddamn sure.
Today, I have a comment for Ryan, so I've written everything down so I can talk directly in my words, so please listen.
We all know Ryan Garcia's issues. Missing weight, alcohol and incomplete, lack of professionalism, no sportsmanship, no respect. Yet he dares to call himself king. On fight day, I'll show him the true code of Bushido. We'll fight for honor and legacy, it not ego. I'll bring the real Japanese samurai spirit and show him exactly where he belongs.
Sounds like he's mad.
'He's gonna show him the Bushido spirit, is what he says he's gonna do. Rikuya Anpo in his latest foray into the world of boxing, as you all know. This guy's a kickboxer or something like that, competes in a junior middleweight division, so he's got natural size on Ryan Garcia, and you can see that. Looks to be about a junior middleweight.
But that natural size is offset by his inexperience in a boxing ring, which is really limited to boxing an over-the-hill Manny Pacquiao in an exhibition.
Now he's fighting Ryan, found a way around his suspension by participating in an exhibition match, not a sanctioned boxing match. Found a way around his year-long suspension, which is more like 10 months.
So it's like he never left.
This is not a Golden Boy Promotions show. Doesn't even look to be a DAZN event. I don't know if DAZN is going to have any participation distributing this show. And if they don't, that'll be a revealing tidbit as to what exactly Ryan's arrangement with Golden Boy Promotions is. It would have to be limited to pugilism, to just boxing, plain old boxing.
Oh, well, this is a boxing match.
Technically, it isn't. Technically, it's an exhibition. Just a little waltz with a novice boxer, a kickboxer, crossing over into boxing. The sales pitch being vengeance for Manny Pacquiao. I mean, that's how Ryan's selling the fight on his end. He's going to get revenge for an over-the-hill Manny Pacquiao who looked his age against Rikuya Anpo. Ryan wants to teach him a lesson
Rikuya says he's going to teach him one.
about discipline, about honor and professionalism, all of that. Ryan is not a good boxer. From a technical perspective, of nuts and bolts, fundamentals perspective, he's not a good boxer. He's a good physical specimen. He's got height, he's got length, strength, and he's fast.
All of which services him against 135-pounders, 140-pounders, and maybe one or two welterweights, but this guy's a junior middle, so that's interesting.
I wonder what the rules are. How bad is Ryan allowed to beat this guy up? Can he knock him out? If he does, is this still an exhibition? I mean, the line that separates a sanctioned fight from an exhibition match gets thinner and thinner every time I look.
Held a presser for the exhibition, quote-unquote, on the West Coast earlier today. So they're promoting the fight in Japan, obviously. They're promoting it in Japan, where it will take place, but they're also promoting it in America, with no involvement from Golden Boy.
Or DAZN. It looks like the distributor for this show in this part of the world will come to us by way of Fenmio. It's a pay-per-view.
Wallet out.
Are you gonna buy it?
Maybe. If I'm not otherwise preoccupied opening gifts and feeling my wife's ass, I might.
Set to go down towards the tail end of next month, December 30th. That's practically New Year's Eve. Practically. Rikuya Anpo looks to show Ryan Garcia up in his own discipline, his own sport. He wants to make him look bad like he made Manny Pacquiao look bad. Though Ryan is very much bigger than Manny Pacquiao and very much younger than Manny, if there's anything to win here for Rikuya Anpo, it's that. It's a moral victory. This being an exhibition, he's not allowed to have a real one.
And Ryan?
Well, for Ryan, it's the activity. That even though he's under suspension, he may as well not be, because he still gets to go in there, he still gets to keep busy, he still gets to make money.
That's what he gets out of this.
May as well not be suspended from the way this looks, and I've no doubts that the event coordinators offered him a pretty penny, a decent-sized guarantee to do this thing.
As well as a slice of the pay-per-view's upside, if there is one.
Those particulars with seemingly no involvement from Golden Boy or DAZN, it looks like whatever Ryan makes from this, he keeps all to himself.
Are you sure?
Looks like it. I didn't see a Golden Boy insignia anywhere on there. I didn't see a DAZN insignia. I have to admit, this has piqued my interest.